All right, what's good? You know, if you've been following basketball for the past week or so, uh, the man in the middle of all the controversy it seems to be is none other than Kyrie Irving. And in this video here, I just want to go over some of the um, some of the different angles that the sports media likes to play on these things. All right, okay. Stephen A. Smith, I respect Stephen A. Smith. I respect all these guys that's on TV doing this stuff, man. Okay, like don't get it twisted. And I'm a little harsh on them sometimes, but I'm a person who believes that everything should have its proper order. All right, and if you're gonna hold one athlete to one standard, you should hold every other athlete to that same standard. Okay, but a lot of this stuff started, when Kyrie, this year anyways, started when Kyrie broke the league's protocol and went to a party and was dancing with his sister or whatnot without a mask, and video leaked and it got back, and you know, subsequently they fined him and I believe he got suspended for 1 or 2 games or some short amount of time without pay. And Kyrie, he decided that he's gonna take as much time as he wanted to. And if you know Kyrie's personality, it didn't surprise you. But it seems as though they've had an axe to grind against Kyrie for a long time. I'm not gonna say it's because of LeBron, but it kind of started with that fissure that they had there. But I feel as though the axe to grind is more or less against guys like him and Kawhi Leonard, kind of guys that just don't go along and get along with the media. They've already they've stated, even Kevin Durant, they've stated that they don't like talking to the media because of the stuff that they do. I mean it's a very opaque environment. You know what I mean? These people aren't very transparent in their takes, and there's of course favoritism. But I just want to focus on some of the ways that they coming at dude, and you know, I'm not necessarily defending Kyrie, but I'm just into the understanding of you got to hold all these guys accountable, of course, but just it's just amazing to me how much favoritism some of these people play in the media. So I'm gonna start off this video here. I'm gonna let it run a little bit and then give my little take on them here and there.
Do you think that Kyrie is worth all of this drama?
No, he's not. He's not worth it at all. A matter of fact, let me say this straight up and down. I think Kyrie Irving should retire. I think he should announce his retirement today. Clearly, you don't want to play basketball bad enough. Now, you might still want to get the $33.4 million, obviously devoid of some of the doctor pay you'll receive because you haven't complied with safety protocol measures, and as a result, the league is going to determine when you come back instead of yourself.
So I'm gonna start with that statement there. Stephen A. He's known for making his hot takes controversial, and a little part of me agrees with him, but no, Kyrie should not retire. But this kind of goes back to what was going on last year in the bubble, whenever all these protests were popping off, and the teams were out indefinitely until they brought the league back, or whatever. And Kyrie broached this sentiment that, hey, we should start our own black league, black GMs, black coaches. You know what I mean? And it came to the forefront, and somebody somebody brought it to the NBA's attention. And I feel like Kyrie got a bad rap for that. But if you listen to a lot of the takes that the people had back then, Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith, what have you, that was pretty asinine. Even Skip Bayless, they thought it was an asinine concept, and they pretty much were insinuating that he was committing an act of treason. But all this social justice stuff going on, people taking these knees and You know what I'm saying? Black people getting killed by the cops and stuff like that. You know, it's a lot going on these days. But Kyrie's pretty much saying, well, if we care about it as much as we say we do, then, you know, how about we do something and take matters into our own hands? Because 85% of the league is black. So if a player like Kyrie step out, and if the other players truly feel like, you know, they're getting treated a certain kind of way, and this has come out here and there. For instance, a few years ago, Andre Iguodala alluded to it with Steve Kerr as being, you know what I'm saying, I believe he referred to Steve Kerr as Massa. I'll do what Massa said, in a joking way, of course, but, I mean, these guys are contract bound. They know that. And, you know, you're making the people who you claim are oppressing you, you're making them rich. You know, you're signing to Nike, and I'm not poo-pooing that at all. Get your money. But my whole point is this: is it performance or conformance? And pretty much what I mean by that is, you know, are they going to pay you more to conform and do what the corporatocracy tells you to do, or are these people really sincere in what they're doing? I believe they're sincere, but at the same time, I feel like they're kind of getting used to showboat this stuff on the TV. But no, I feel like it's asinine to say that Kyrie should retire. You know, that's just the kind of personality that Kyrie has. But that just goes back to the same sentiment that he had before last year. You know, if he could get enough guys, they could start their own league. Of course, it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of money, and it probably won't happen. But I mean, if that were to happen, since we're talking about hypotheticals, you know, people claim they want equality and want to end racism. That's not going to happen. That's hypothetical. So let's branch out on a hypothetical branch and say, you know, say these guys do start their own league. I guarantee you they would get a good amount of players to end up coming over there. And what's it matter? I mean, they're not allowing fans and stuff in the games anyways. So you know, you can get your own licensing and broadcasting rights on Facebook, YouTube, etc. But that's just an asinine statement to most people because they're not thinking on that level. Like I've said before, if you've been following Kyrie, you not surprised by this because Kyrie seems like the type of person that isn't necessarily motivated by money. He wants money, of course. He's going to get money regardless based on his talents. But at this point, it seems as though Kyrie is trying to come into an epiphany where he's just sick of it, all the BS. And that's why I asked that same question. Is this performance or conformance? I mean, is the NBA predicated on how well you can play and, you know, what you're going to do for that city, that team, that franchise? Or is it about you following the rules and doing what they want you to do? That's pretty much where Kyrie's at, if I was to guess.
Steve Nash, a coach that he endorsed bringing on board, a coach that he wanted, a coach that he fully supported. How fair is that to his brother, Kevin Durant? Now, we can sit up there and say what we want about Kevin Durant, temperamental and all this stuff. This brother is a superstar and answers the call the way superstars are supposed to answer the call. Whenever he can play, he does play. That's who Kevin Durant is. He loves playing the game of basketball. He can play it for a lot of money because he's so great he commands it, or he'd play for free. But he'll play anywhere because that's who he is.
False. False. If he would play anywhere, he would have stayed in OKC.
Kyrie Irving clearly is not interested in doing that. And that's the problem. So guess what? Go ahead and retire. Go ahead and retire until you know that you're committed to playing. And the reason why I seemed a bit perturbed and a bit disgusted by all of this is because Kyrie Irving, this is what's going on right now. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening in this world over the last few months, as we all know. Social justice issues and beyond, and we get that. And Kyrie Irving's heart is in the right place. He wants to do a lot of things for the community. He wants to do things to uplift the community, to address some of the concerns, the things that have ravaged our communities for many, many years. He wants to do all of that. In that regard, his heart is in the right place. He's philanthropic. He's very charitable with his time, with his donations, and things of that nature. Just the other day, we saw him on the phone with some congressional figure. I don't know who it was. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. But clearly trying to...
So he was on the phone with a member of Congress. All right, now we're kind of getting back to one of the issues that was with the Colin Kaepernick protest. Because if you remember, back when Colin Kaepernick was protesting, maybe a year or two in, Malcolm Jenkins, not sure if he was the leader, but he was a prominent member of the Players Coalition. He actually inked a deal and got I think he got some funding for the police forces or something like that. Something that was actually leading to a resolution. And Eric Reed went on the field. The dude that was the player that was kneeling next to Kaepernick, he felt upon himself he had to make a big hullabaloo and get mad at Malcolm Jenkins, and a lot of these players was bucking back at Malcolm Jenkins whenever he was actually going towards going towards a solution to the problem. So you see, this is kind of, I see the same kind of thing here with Kyrie, to where, okay, he's kind of putting his money where his mouth is when he says he's concerned about these kind of things, and whether they like it or not, that's trying to lead to a solution. That's called being a three-dimensional thinker. That's called thinking and working towards a solution instead of just complaining about it. All right. So I sense a very high level of sincerity there, and I'm not saying like these other players aren't, but I'm not. I haven't heard anybody else, calling Congress. I've heard people calling Trump out, the president. I've heard people calling him out, but I haven't heard of them going and speaking to him. And anybody that does go speaks to him gets called a coon or this, that, and the third. But I mean, just wondering if if any of these guys go to sit down with Joe Biden, are they going to get that same kind of treatment? I'm guessing not, but that's neither here nor there. But I sense the problem is, like I said, that he's just not going along with the game plan. And the game plan is, you speak out what we can tell you to speak out on, and you play basketball, you show up, and you don't complain.
Address some of the concerns that are ailing our society and our community. We understand that. Here's the problem that I have. He acts like he can't chew gum and walk at the same time. You can do that after you fulfill your duties or in the midst of fulfilling your duties. Just because you want to do all of those other things does not mean that you can't show up to work. It's just show up.
And that's what I mean when I say I respect these guys for their talents. They're entertaining. They're fun to watch. But people should not be taking them serious on these social issues, because just like they're a mastercraft in their field, in one field does not necessarily mean that you have the obligation to speak up for other things. If you have a voice and you have an opinion, that's cool, that's great. But given the amount of followers and the amount of influence that you have based on your voice and the magnitude of your name, you should definitely be informed on what you're talking about. And most of these guys, just to be honest with you, are not informed. And some people might not like that. I don't care. A lot of these people are not informed, all right? And this is what happens whenever people are expected to do both. Whenever you want to do something because you feel like it's right, and you're not doing it the way the next person was doing it, okay? And it's causing fissure and it's causing confusion. When if these guys were just sticking to basketball, it wouldn't be no big deal. And a lot of this stuff changed, if you notice, when Adam Silver came, because David Stern ran a tight ship. He had these guys' dress codes and all that, because in the early 2000s, that quote unquote thug culture was taking over in the NBA. Everybody wanted to be Jordan. Everybody wanted to play one-on-one, and these guys was coming and wearing whatever they wanted to. David Stern cracked down on that. But ever since Adam Silver's been in there, it took a sharp turn left, and it's just been hectic chaos ever since. And that makes for damn good TV, but at the end of the day, I honestly feel as though it's to our detriment, because we got a lot of people getting caught up in this stuff, man. Instead of, taking and doing the research for yourself and, finding ways that we can improve upon ourselves, because it's incumbent upon us to change. We can't expect the government and the police force and stuff to change this, that, no.
And earn your paycheck. This dude signed 4 years, $141 million. Last year, he played 20 games. He made a whole bunch of noise and hoopla about how the players shouldn't participate in the bubble during the postseason. A bubble, by the way, that he wasn't going to be able to participate in because he had right shoulder surgery. But still, he was making noise. And then went against Chris Paul.
Well, that's a pertinent point there. But again, like I said, I feel as though it's almost Kyrie pretty much asking the players to put their money where their mouth is, or put their effort where their mouth is, and put their money to the side. But as we all know, 90% of them are not willing to do that. I would could bump that percentage up to even probably 95, 98%, because all this stuff these guys talk about, they're not going to give their money up to go start another league with black owners and black GMs. You know what I mean? And you would make a good amount of money doing that. You know, you wouldn't make as much as what you are now, but at least you'll be able to have the freedom to dictate what you can and can't do on and off the court.
And the Players Association, Chris Paul, Andre Iguodala, and all of those boys, without even letting them know or giving them a heads up as to what he was going to do. He just bucked the whole system and decided that he wanted to do things his way. Then he comes into this season. Now that KD is healthy, okay, he still doesn't have his legs out, or, his legs together or whatever. KD is still getting into game shape. He's still getting his game back and averaging 27, 28 a game. This is who this dude is. Surreal, big time, just elite, future Hall of Famer, two-time champion, two-time NBA Finals MVP. And we all know that the Brooklyn Nets would not have wanted Kyrie Irving.
Insinuating how great KD is isn't going to change Kyrie's mind. Kyrie knows how good KD is. We all know how good KD is, Stephen A.
Had it not been for Kevin Durant. So if you're Kevin Durant, obviously you had to vouch for this brother. You had to insist on this brother being there with you. You had to want him the way Kawhi let it.
Well, my only problem with this is that, you talking about the Nets like they're the Lakers or, the Clippers or somebody that, has an affluent, or San Antonio, should I say. Somebody has an affluent franchise. I mean, come on now. Ain't no way they was going to turn down Kyrie Irving. Chill out. Nets haven't been relevant for the longest.
And Paul George, that's what you did with Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving repays you and repays the Nets organization by skipping games for personal reasons. You're violating safety protocols. I know you were there.
Well, maybe he got sick. Maybe he really was sick.
That's with your sister Asia, and I get all of that, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. But the times that we're living in, the last thing you need to be caught doing is being in a crowd of people without a mask on. That's going to raise red flags. It's going to make the NBA step in. Safety protocols and measures are going to obviously be discussed and probed, and whether or not you violated them, all of this stuff. You don't care. You don't mind missing games or anything. So guess what? This is what Kyrie Irving is saying. Basketball is not a priority to me. Nobody, Karis LeVert, Kevin Durant, Allen, Joe Harris, Steve Nash, Mike D'Antoni, and the rest of the coaching staff, Sean Marks.
Well, I don't think that's fair for you to make that assessment. I'd like to see Kyrie come in here again like he did when he first left Cleveland. Whenever him and Max came in there, brought him in there, and he had that sit down, and he let Max know what the deal was pretty much. But I mean, that's kind of unfair to put that on Kyrie.
None of them deserve this. The owner, Josiah, he doesn't deserve this. Nobody deserves this. Kyrie Irving.
Well, Kyrie feels like he doesn't deserve the way he's being treated, and that's the whole point of him doing what he's doing. You know what I mean? Everybody just is gonna roll over and take what corporations and whatnot is trying to give to them. You know what I mean?
Until you want to play, you should retire, forfeit every penny you make, retire, and go do what you want to do in regards to these issues that are clearly most important to you until you are ready to play. And my last point, Max, is saying this. If you know anything about Kyrie Irving, one of the people he loved, and I hate to bring this up, but it's unavoidable. One of the people he loved so dearly was the late, great Kobe Bryant.
Oh, here you go. Now he's gonna pull on people's heartstrings by calling down calling down the old great Kobe Bryant. You see what I'm saying? These guys just get so emotional about things, man.
We loved this man, and he loved Kyrie, okay? This is a person that you respect and wanted to emulate. If you knew anything about Kobe Bryant had a multitude of interests. He was always doing something. Missing games, when healthy, was not one of them.
Well, Kyrie's not the first one to miss games like that, you know. What about guys resting, you know? Tim Duncan and Ginobili and all them guys rested. LeBron rested, you know. I mean, come on. All right, so this little clip here, I don't know if you heard of this. I'm quite sure you probably have, but this was not on the news cycles. I'm not sure if any prominent analysts or anybody that said anything about this, but I guess this came out a couple of days ago when I first ran across it, and this is really what propelled me to make this video because I see what's going on and I pay attention to what's going on as I feel like most brothers should, not necessarily in basketball or NBA or per se, but just whatever your interests are, you know, just kind of follow along with it and think about it from different perspectives and think about it from a solution perspective, all right? But, you know, if you didn't know, Jackie McCullough, she's been a beat writer in Boston, you know, since the 80s and 90s, I believe. Definitely the 90s. I'm not sure about the 80s, but, you know, she's one of these women that she praises Larry Bird. But she had an interesting take on it. And some revelatory things came out. And let's just see what she said.
Bunch of jerks on podcasts that can't figure out how anyone can do this.
Well, so I will tell you this. One of the I was thinking about all the conversations I've had with Kyrie through the years. One of them I had, I don't know, 2 years ago. We got into an argument about, you know, something. And he's like, well, there shouldn't be an NBA draft.
2 years ago, I'm assuming that's when he was with Boston. And, you know, Kyrie had a lot of fissure with the organization in Boston, too, because, you know, Kyrie's just a different kind of person, man. So, you know, I'm not going to say that he's quite immature. I feel like he has a lot of growing up to do, but I think that his idea of maturity and his idea of being a man is making your own decisions, you know, making your own decisions and making your own decisions and being an independent thinker, you know. Kyrie's a very independent thinker, so his way of doing things is different than the status quo. So, and he's not the best leader. I don't think he's the best leader. I feel like he for the most part is a leader, but I don't think he's the best leader. But he's definitely an alpha personality, and can he put that to the side to gel with, you know, a whole team and play second fiddle and pretty much be a weapon again, like he was in Cleveland. And that's the conundrum, is that, you know, it doesn't seem that he can fit like that in any team, yet he doesn't want to subjugate himself to not be that. So, I mean, I'm not saying that Kyrie's perfect. I mean, but let's see what this chick says, man.
Players should be able to go wherever they want to go. We're not, you know, someone's property. And I'm like, yeah, you are, dude. That's the way it works. That's why you get paid all these millions. And so I really think in Kyrie's mind.
Did you hear that? He says when we get drafted, we should be able to go where we want to go. First of all, I don't agree with that. You get drafted by who you get drafted by. These players already have it good now to where if they don't like it where they're at, they can just sit out or call down trades and things like that. They can do that nowadays. That's already enough. That's kind of where it needs to be at anyways. I don't feel like you should be bound to one city, but you get drafted by who you get drafted by. But he says we're not a piece of property. She says, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. So, I mean, that's my whole point is, why isn't anybody else speaking up for this? Where's all the NBA players that's supposed to, you know what I mean, supposed to be social justice warriors. They're supposed to be for the rights of people, you know. And subsequently, what the players in my mind, that's the players are acknowledging by not saying anything, is that they agree with her. That not only is Kyrie property, but if he's property, that means your property as well. So that's the whole hypocrisy of the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? And you know these not an athlete campaigns and more than an athlete campaigns, and everyone has a voice. Everyone has the right to use their platform. Okay, but nobody's got Kyrie back in this situation.
Yeah, you are, dude. That's the way it works. That should be an NBA draft. Players should be able to go wherever they want to go. We're not, someone's property. And I'm like, yeah, you are, dude. That's the way it works. That's why you get paid all these millions. And so I really think in Kyrie's.
So, and this is the thing. I agree with her. If you sign that contract, then, you know what I mean, you, in a sense, are property. And, I mean, by the dictates of this whole society, this is what they don't tell you either, is that pretty much everyone is property. Your social security number is your bond number. Your birth certificate is your receipt, pretty much. There's no gold and silver backing the money. We back the money. Thanks to the 13th Amendment, we're responsible for the damn near $30 trillion of debt that the U.S. is in. All right? But there's more on that. That's a whole separate video, but it's just amazing to me that none of these people are stepping up. And I mean, I had a conversation with a brother about this, and I was pretty much speaking from the eyes of a social justice warrior, pretty much saying, where's LeBron at when we need him? Where is this, that, and the third? And you know what I mean? And he called me out and said, that's weird. That seems like I'm begging. Okay. But this is the thing. I already know that not only are they not going to step up for him, they could, but I already know the reasons that they're not, because there's a hierarchy in this society, and that's the bigger issue. It's not that these guys need to step up and have his back, per se. I feel like they should, but they're not, because why? That would compromise their money. And that goes back to my reasoning that these guys shouldn't be taken serious on social issues. You can listen to them, you can take their advice, you can take in their observations and their opinions, which is what I do, but I don't take it seriously, and I don't move accordingly to that, because these guys have been compromised by their check. And what I mean by that is, like, I'm not saying they're not sincere. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they don't believe and they don't care about the people. A lot of these guys have shown that they actually do care about the people, but whenever a gesture is made, you don't really know whether that's sincere. You don't know whether they're being told to do that for money. You don't know whether they're doing that to not lose money. You know what I'm saying? You don't really know. So that's the reason, being that these guys get paid so much and they're always in the public eye. There's a reason that, you know what I mean? But there's a hierarchy here, because they'll let you say all you want to, as long as it doesn't go against, it doesn't go against the divine feminine principle that these people worship. These guys worship, you know what I mean? In the hierarchy, the black man is at the very bottom. And above him is the black woman. Above him is a liberal white woman. And above him is the homosexual and transgender. That's just the way it is. And I'm not saying this, that, and third about it. Hey, it is what it is. But it's amazing to me that a Caucasian woman can call a black man property and no one says anything about it. When you hear guys like LeBron say this climate we're living in, and you hear all these guys call on Donald Trump to do something, or they call on the police to clean up their... What? No, it starts with us, and us not being compromised as much as what we are, and stop taking all these people seriously that don't necessarily know what they're talking about. All right? But, and she's probably not going to get any discipline from this. And, I've seen videos where guys saying she should get fired and this, that, and the third. And let me say something. It's just amazing to me that a guy like Stephen A. Smith, in this situation, she's pretty much telling Kyrie to get your ass back on that court because you property and we pay you millions of dollars. And Stephen A. Smith is right up underneath her. But instead of calling for her to get fired, he'd rather see Kyrie retire. So whose side are you really on? See, this is what I mean when I say that they've been compromised. You don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, nor do I. But I can just make the connections in my mind and how I see it because, you know, these guys said, "Oh, I won't shut up and dribble." Okay. It's just appalling, the hypocrisy. So, you know, I'm just going to leave it there, let y'all marinate on that. And I'm going to be back with some more, man. Peace.